location at the Dallas Market Center, so you'll get a glimpse behind the fantastic things we see on my Discovery Tours. Today, it's the Trended Merchandising Tour, and I want you to see the fantastic things that are happening here in Dallas. So that bright red interior, this entire interior, if you look on the newsletter that the Appy Group sent out, this whole area was all done in red. Now they've done it in the butter yellow. So not only does that wonderful butter yellow set off the product that's in front of it and give us a great exterior view, but butter yellow is our number one color of the year. That's what Leatrice Eisman told us yesterday. And so looking at that and having the tints, tones, and shades that they've used and pairing it up with green. So here we have an analogous color scheme, which is friendly and welcoming, and they've used it at their entry. We've got that wonderful water, running water sound, makes us feel welcome, more zen-like, placid. Get out of the heat and the hot and the craziness of the day, and then you come inside and you have that. And also, using different types of materials. There are great ivy hedges here too, as a barrier so that you can see beyond them, but you can't see everything that's back there, in creating those types of layered looks so that you're looking not only through this, but then you want to go all the way back into that white area. And this is one of the best demonstrations of depth that we see in the marketplace. That's something that you might want to think about too with yours is having something up at the front of your store that they can see beyond, but that there's something back in there so you want to go in and see orange and green together, the hot pink and the orange together. Again, those really bright, vibrant colors, and kicking it up by using the orange background, the green pedestals, and then mixing that in. We talked about water before and in the bases down there with Matt. In this case, they've used the cylinders and they've used some of their plastic plants down inside there, but rather than having that sit there on the table itself, they've added that little air tube. And all that is just a little air filter for a fish aquarium. But having those air bubbles in that activates this entire display. I love that too. You can see up in there too with the chandelier that they've created with all of the materials too. There's some air current that's moving those pieces up in there, and that activates that as well. Now this is a really good example too of how we're using color, but also using line and movement for our eye. And what's happening here too, 3 very color-based arrangements and then one that combines those 3 colors together. So here we've got the great wall piece that's ornate and the line and form of that moving across, and that same line then is repeated in the arrangements. Very symmetrical in nature, having those 2 lines come together like this, but then also having that one arrangement that's swooping together. Crescent form lines is another trend that we're seeing that's very, very important. Maybe you're challenged with a space that you would have where you don't want to convert the entire thing. You can't change it all over to a giant wedding. You can't change it all over to something. You can't paint the entire wall. You can't put a painting on the wall. In this case, using a very basic color palette on the background, but then bringing in the textural nuances of those birch trees and a single shutter hanging on the wall. The wagon wheel, the shutter, and the little box on the floor, and everything else then is the activation that goes with it. Chartreuse green, #1 color for our eye to see. So by putting chartreuse green inside those, we're directing our eye to that. And this is that laser line we talked about, where we're taking that chartreuse green and pushing it almost all the way to yellow. This is my #1 pick for containers, but this is that laser lime color. So this is the color that's unavoidable for our eye to look at, and it's very, very upscale for us right now too. The other great thing about this container too is it's carved, so that we've used it. This is etched into it, and then this is a shiny surface too. So this is the Reliant Ribbon showroom. And they used to have a different showroom, and there you see showrooms where there's lots of bows or ribbons or where they've used different treatments. Seth's feeling about this showroom was, I want my customers to know that I have the world's largest selection of ribbon. And so what he did was he lined his entire showroom with ribbon racks and color palletized them and seasonalized them, so that when you look in there, when you walk in, you say, oh my gosh, these people have ribbon. And there's a completely different theory behind that than talking about display and merchandising. In this case, he has a challenge with his product, and he's done a great job, because he said the very first thing people say is, how am I going to be able to choose? And he said they have all of the different palettes. So every single SKU he has is in the showroom. That big chunky pottery too, very, very important trend that we're seeing. But then notice too how the laser lime coloration is coming into the aloe veras that he has in the back. That's not a typical color for that or a botanical color that we would have. But in this case, it's being used there to help activate that entire situation. Each one of these individual pieces is a piece of bamboo that's inlaid into that. And with the great texture that we have, very, very quality oriented. Each one of these is individually laid into this. And so it takes someone 3 to 4 days to create this container. So what we're seeing for quality is that in a quality issue with this, it's a much more expensive piece, but it's something that people are going to invest in. And again, they want that high quality for something that's very unique and interesting. These shells again too, and the robin egg blue that we're seeing, nice bright vibrant color. And notice that because there's not a lot of pieces that have that color in here, but the color's incorporated into it, it forms a great background for those. Here at Galt International, they've placed that glitter material into a room that has a wonderful matte finish. Also notice the lighting, hot spots on all of those different materials so that we are able to get that glitter and sparkle. And at the same time, the glitter and the sparkle stands off from a wonderful background that's matte finish. Think about this wonderful beaded tree sitting on top of tables. And also, it comes in several different sizes. So we've got a triple tier that can stand on a table, or even pieces like this that are chandeliers. When you're looking at different displays, you're also looking at the ability to utilize them for different things, and special event is one of the hottest trends around. Here at Lincoln Imports, we're looking at a wonderful example of the marine trend. Seaside things, also different containers that have see-through cutaways that are happening, or these wonderful coral containers that we can actually see through. The shells, the seahorses, and again the texture, again, of these beautiful vases that look like the marine feel, have a wonderful shell-type quality to them in mother of pearl. Great, very muted palette that gives us that very relaxing at the seaside effect. This display is, in my opinion, the best display in the marketplace for this show. It's absolutely fascinating to me because number one, special event is so hot. And we're talking about weddings, we're talking about special event right now. In this case, having that chandelier inside there which completely, totally activates this and causes your attention to go to that. But then draping it down and having it layered with so many depths of texture, it's absolutely brilliant. This is what somebody needs to be doing at a special event show. If you went into a special event show and you saw the normal booths of the people with their wedding stuff, or the people who drug out their candelabras, or the people who drug out their wedding books, and then you had one that looked like this, that's the person that you're going to go to for your wedding. Because it's taken that event for that day, and even whether you're doing a small-scale wedding or a large-scale wedding, this tells a story about what this person does. So that's just a glimpse of some of the fantastic things we see here at the Dallas Market Center on our Trends in Merchandising tour. You'll want to check out more of this on our downloadable features that give you the complete tours of trends and color from the Christmas market live here in Dallas. Until next week, keep having fun with flowers.